Hey guys, it's Goji Berry here, and I've got a brand new video for beginners starting to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. And here are 6 tips for you to get through the beginning of this game, at least to Chapter 8, quickly and efficiently. So let's jump into it, guys. Tip number 1 is to save often. And I know this is a very common tip in most games, and the majority of us know to save and try to save before a boss. Sometimes you can't do that, and generally I find myself saving way too much if I get paranoid. And for some of us who are just so freaking skilled at playing video games, they don't have to save. And so for y'all, maybe y'all don't need this tip, but for me, I definitely have to save. And saving right before a boss or a big fight is always a plus for me. It lets me restart the fight with all of my items, my potions, my Phoenix Downs, etc., etc. And so that is tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to utilize the tactical mode in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and this is the mode in which it literally slows time down for you. This is a great mode to jump into, and don't hesitate to jump into this mode often and stay there for a little while. Time does move while in this mode, but it moves very slowly, and when you get good inside of this mode, it gives you the time to do some really powerful burst damage, and it also gives you the opportunity to create really good stagger plays and to double up on certain combos in order to defeat or single out enemies. And that's one thing that I found most useful. For tip number 2, guys, utilize tactical mode. It's going to help you a ton, especially in boss fights and in future encounters later in the game. Alright guys, tip number 3 would be to utilize the Punisher mode that Cloud has. And the reason that I would utilize Punisher mode, guys, is because Punisher mode does a couple things for you. It does more damage. It attacks the faster opponents that tend to dodge your attacks. It does more damage quickly. And also, the reason that this is number 3 is because Punisher mode has a kind of a better parry than Operator mode. And I want to go over that in the next tip. So tip number 3 is to utilize the Punisher mode for more damage, increase your DPS, but also give you the tactical advantage by utilizing my tip number 4. And this is going to be utilizing your block, parry, and dodge. And the reason I think that the Punisher mode goes with this is because when you enter Punisher mode, you can actually parry a lot easier. You can kind of spam your parry. And that helps with a lot of the bosses that are out there. And so I figured this out after fighting a boss in Chapter 6 and in Chapter 7. And it allowed me to parry them really easily. So that's tip number 4, guys. 3 and 4, which would be utilize that Punisher mode and get the parry and the blocks going on. Reduce the damage that you're taking while maximizing the damage that you're putting out. Alright guys, and tip number 5 is going to be materia multiples. When I first started playing this game, you finally get back to Avalanche's secret headquarters, and there is a item vendor there, and he's selling materia, and I questioned if I was going to find the materia spells like out on the map somewhere, and I was afraid that I was going to have duplicates and I wouldn't be able to use them. But I want to let you guys know that materia multiples is a good thing, especially when it comes to your element attacks. And this is why, guys, is because there's some mini bosses and even bosses that you fight in which it's advantageous for you to have 2 characters with a certain elemental spell. That way you can stagger them easier and deal more damage and really beat them ultimately. So don't worry about buying multiple ones. And the ones I would focus on early on in the game, in my personal opinion, would be Thunder would be number one for me, and the second one would be Fire. And Fire's a little bit early on. Thunder works pretty far into the game, at least up to chapter 8. And so that's tip number 5. Tip number 6, guys. And this is a big one. This is something I do for most enemies that I come up against, and that would be to scan the beast. So there's a material in which you can scan the beast, and it will tell you what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, if they're immune to things. So that would be tip number 6, guys, would be to utilize that ability and figure out what you're going up against, and that's going to give you quicker battles, and it's going to give you easier battles. So if you take number 5 and 6 together and you scan a beast and you figure out that they're weak to thunder, and you're going to see that you're going to encounter that monster throughout the whole chapter, then you can double up on materia and get those staggers and breaks very easily. And so that would be my recommendation. And here are my 6 tips for beginners and for people who are starting with Final Fantasy VII. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope this helps you out, maybe solve some questions you may have. And this is what got me up to chapter 8 fairly easily. If you have any questions or concerns, guys, throw it down in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.